today I actually have somebody that owns their own auction house, and his name is Scott. I actually met him at the National this year, and he saw me coming across the room because I had my Clemente shirt on, and he goes, "Hey, I have just the auction for you. It's a Clemente auction." So what I wanted to do was I wanted to actually show some of this auction on my channel because it's the biggest Clemente collection, biggest Clemente auction I've ever seen. But you guys know me. I've never bought from an auction before. You know, it's a little bit intimidating. I've never signed up for an auction before or an auction site. So what I wanted to do was I reached out to Scott and I said, why don't you come on my channel, get me a little bit more comfortable with the idea of using an auction site, and maybe we can look at some of the Clemente stuff together. Some guys already said to me, they said, why would you tell people about the best Clemente auction you're ever going to see? And my opinion is, you guys know I'm on a budget. You know, I can't buy everything. And there's some really great collectors out here. And I know a lot of great Clemente guys watch my channel. And I want them to get some of these cards too. So without further ado, let's bring Scott on the channel. Scott, thanks for being here. So we saw each other at the National. You probably didn't know at the time I had a YouTube channel, did you? So what's your, after leaving that show, I mean, I'm sure I know your answer, but where do you feel like the market is right now overall? Do you feel like it's healthy? What do you feel about the vintage market?
It's healthy, but it's not insane. 2020 through 2022, maybe it was insane. We were definitely seeing pullback. Now I will say, truly rare items and truly high-end items, there really hasn't been much pullback on. You know, if you've got a PSA 852 mantle, you're not seeing a lower price now than you did in 2022. If you're looking at a PSA 5 1956 mantle, yeah, it's probably come back to earth a little bit. It's been far from a crash. We're not even as low as we were pre-pandemic. And to me, even that would just be a correction. So it's down a little, but I mean, obviously by the attendance, it's a healthy market still. People are probably being a little more judicious with their money.
Well, a good sign is, and granted, you know, I don't know how much you want to divulge into this, but a good sign to me about where the market is anybody coming to you that collected during COVID and they said, you know what, I lost my shirt, I'm selling it all, or does it just feel like a normal crowd, you know, trying to sell things, you know, wanting to sell things?
If anything, we're seeing a lot more, you know, collectors who are making kind of, and I hate to say it, but end of life decisions. Yeah. You know, not that they're necessarily ready to die, but they found out that their kids aren't interested in their collection. You know, they're retirement age or older, and they're going, well, what am I going to do with this? I could turn it into money now. So that's what we're seeing. We're not seeing panic sell-offs or anything like that. We're seeing people who go, it's a life change.
Yeah. And I think that's a healthy market. That's a good sign to me. So one thing, like I said in the opening, I've never used an auction house. I've never bought off an auction house.
It still blows my mind in this day and age to hear that. It's like, really?
Yeah, I've only, you know, I'm getting close to, like, it's about 3.5 years I started collecting again. So I've pretty much only bought a card shows in eBay. Anybody that's ever said, well, why don't you, you know, start looking at, you know, auctions on top of eBay? I always say, well, eBay's got everything. Like, well, why would you, I guess, give somebody a pitch on why somebody should buy from an auction site?
Okay. There's especially in comparison to eBay, there's a few reasons. One, you're dealing with one entity. On eBay, you're dealing with 40,000 different sellers, and one seller may be great, and 30 sellers may be idiots, and then 12 sellers are great. And, you know, you just don't know who you're dealing with. Especially with a smaller company, you know, if you call our general phone number, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get me on the phone. So, you know, problems are dealt with in a much more one-to-one fashion as opposed to eBay, where it can take months to, you know, solve a problem. You know, it's just a more personal experience. And even some of the bigger auction companies really treat their customers like they're personally important. And I think that makes a difference. As for you can find everything on eBay, I'm gonna say no, you can't. I would say there's a good chunk of things in our auction which consistently from auction to auction you don't see on eBay every day.
Yeah,
I think especially true in this particular auction's case.
Yeah, that's true. I do see some Clemente items that I might have not seen for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They only come up once a year, things like that. I agree with you 100% there. Let me ask a question, because I'm always curious, and I wonder if different auction houses handle it different ways. But let's
can almost guarantee without hearing the question, the answer is yes. But go ahead.
Let's say somebody wins a Clemente card that I was the second place bidder on, and they do not pay you guys. Do you go to the second bidder and give it to them for that price, or do you relist it at the next auction?
I tend not to unless the consignor is really adamant about it, because I think it's a bad look for a number of reasons. First of all, the second place bidder then thinks, was that first place bid even real, or was he just trying to push me?
Yeah.
Technically, legally, if the winning bidder doesn't pay, I need to remove all of his bids. So if it was just you and him going at it for the last 20 bids, legally, I'm supposed to offer it to you at 19 bids lower, not at the last bid.
Oh, wow.
Because all of his bids are now invalid. That's something that a lot of auctions don't do. And again, that's the difference between being in Pennsylvania and being a licensed auctioneer and having had to learn all the law, and being in a lot of the other states where there is no auction law and they don't understand the federal law that takes precedent, the Universal Commercial Code. Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool to learn. So does your auction house allow your employees to bid on items?
No, our employees are never allowed to bid on items in our auction. Well, the problem is if I'm cataloging, if I have an employee cataloging something and there's some great stuff in there that he just happens to fail to mention is in that lot, so he can pick it up for a song. It's so, our policy, it's actually not illegal to have your employees bid in your auction as long as it's disclosed, but we have a policy against it.
Yeah, and I'm you know what? I'm pretty sure I heard Golden allows their employees, and they tell people that it is. And I kind of like the fact you guys don't, to be honest with you. Shill bidding is really concerning right now, at least in my group of friends. And we're not saying that if an employee bids, they're not a collector and they're not keeping the item, but it's in the back of your head, right?
Sure. And like I said, the other thing is, are they screwing consigners over by hiding good stuff and buying it for themselves at a discount? Yeah. So it hits everybody. Yeah. So to me, when I bought this company, again, I came from a long time collecting and dealing background, and I wanted to make the auction that I wanted to bid in. So all of the concerns, all the questions, all the problems I had over the years, and all the good stuff too. I looked at auctions who I really admired, and I stole all their good ideas. But then I also tweaked some things that always bothered me to make it more friendly for the buyer, because I think ultimately that makes my consigners the happiest. Yeah. The happier your buyers, the happier your sellers.
I agree. So the one thing I've never dealt with, and I've heard some friends talk about, is the extended bidding. So I know every probably auction site's different. How do you guys handle extended bidding?
Ours, I think, of course I'm going to say this, but I think ours is the friendliest. At 10 o'clock on closing night, everything goes on a 15-minute. Well, it's not true. Everything that has 2 bids or more goes on a 15-minute clock. If it only has 1 bid, there's no competitors. It's done right at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
That's obviously most stuff has more than 1 bid.
Right.
At 10 o'clock, everything goes on the 15-minute clock. If it gets no bid in that 15 minutes, that item closes. 1 bid does not keep the whole auction open. If an item doesn't get a bid for 15 minutes, that item's done.
Okay.
So we're usually done. 90% of the auction is done by 10:45, and then
you're talking about East Coast time, I'm assuming.
East Coast time, yes. Yep.
Okay.
And then it's really rare for even 1 item to go past midnight. We've had occasions where 2 guys think they're going to outlast each other on the last item in the auction. And I've had 2 guys fight till about 1:30 in the morning on a couple of occasions. But that's 1 item. You're not waiting for the whole auction to close. If you weren't interested in that item, you're in bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I have some money to spend on the auction, and I'm on a budget, and I'm just trying to think to myself, well, I want to. I have probably 15 Clemente cards that I would like to get, but I don't want to win 5 of them, right?
Right.
so I'm trying to think. I guess I have to prioritize, and I have to be really careful.
I mean, one of the nice things about us is we start with such low starting bids and no reserves, and we do that on purpose for the guys like you. You want to put in a placeholder bid on everything you want. That way, you can bid an extended bidding, and when you have to drop out of one thing, you can hop on the next. But putting a bid on all 25 of those items is nowhere near going to be dangerous to your budget, because we sell $50,000 cards. Our highest starting bid is only $25.
Wow.
So if on opening day you hop in and put your opening bid in on everything, now you're eligible for extended bidding, and you're only committed to spending $500 if everything won somehow. And if it did, you'd be very happy. But
so to get into your extended bidding, this is one thing that confuses me. Do I have to be the highest bidder, or do I just have to place a bid? And even if I get auto,
no, as any item you bid on before 10 o'clock on closing night, you're eligible to keep bidding on.
Even if I wasn't the highest whenever I made,
as long as you have a bid on it somewhere.
Oh,
so we get lots of guys on opening day. They just put in place one bid on everything they're interested in, because again, there's no danger of winning all of them at an opening bid.
Yep.
And then they're eligible to compete for any of those they want to at the end.
That's awesome. That's cool. So, I know probably people are chomping at the bit to see some of these Clemente items, and I'm going to show them up on the screen. Right. I want to ask though. A lot of collectors care about where did you get this collection from? So could you talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
maybe?
Sure. This was a very well known Clemente collector in the hobby. His name was Anthony, or is he's still with us? Anthony Minicucci from Michigan, and I actually don't remember exactly how he found us, but we got to talking, and I was doing one of my big cross country consignment runs. And so I had to stop in Chicago, so I added a little stop in Michigan and met with him and picked up the collection. But he knows a lot of the big Clemente guys. He knows Howard. Yeah. He's bought and sold with Howard and Paul Kutch. I don't know if you know him. He's kind of judged. Yeah. So he was friends with Paul Kutch. They had bought and sold together. So he was really a guy well known in the Clemente world. And he's getting a little older, and the kids aren't interested, and so there we
are. Well, hey, it's good. It's good to be able to be there to make sure it gets sold the right way. So let me bring up your site real quick, and okay. I want to scroll through here a little bit. I'm gonna start just with the Clemente items, and then once we look at some of the Clemente stuff, we'll look at some of the other stuff you guys are selling right now. All right, so let's put this highest price first.
Okay.
Yeah. So a couple of these items I asked you to pull out and to show us, and we're going to do that in a second. But scrolling through here, obviously you got a Clemente rookie card. You got the card I got last year at the National. You got some cons cards here. You got a Transogram, and there's this guy is a lot like me. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of these cards I have already, but like I said, I had about 15 to 20 that I didn't have yet. This green poster here, I literally just got one recently. I love it. Yeah, they're super scarce. And then So I'm going to scroll through here so everybody can just get an idea of it, and then we'll go look at individual.
It's not just a bunch of Topps cards; it's a bunch of really interesting and weird stuff.
For sure. Here's a marble with Clemente on it.
Yeah.
There's like I said, how many Clemente items are in this auction? You know if they're talking
over 200, but I don't know the exact count off the top of my head.
Wow. Yeah, there's even some bobbleheads down here. I already put some placeholders on those. All right, let's get out of this screen and let's look at some of this stuff closer.
Sure.
So what are we going to start with here? Let's start with the ceramic bank. I think it's the item that a lot of people have never seen before.
Yeah. It is a very very hard item to find, and I'll show you why. First of all, what I love about it is it's an actual likeness, as opposed to almost every bobblehead and figure you find where you go, well, that's a guy. This one actually looks like Clemente.
Yeah.
They were made in 1973. The artist's name is Ivo Zini. You can see it right there. They're all signed by him. They were pretty limited, and the reason they're so rare today is because of this. There is no plug on the bottom of this bank. To open it, that's where you hit it with the hammer. And so every little kid who decided they wanted to get their paper route money out had to destroy the bank.
That's
horrible.
horrible.
And there's the money slot right there. So
well, you might have already said it. How many do you think are even out there? Do you guys have an idea?
In my research, I found maybe I know there's more because they're out in private collections and whatnot. But other auction results, I could only find maybe 4 or 5 of them. There wasn't many out there to even research.
Wow.
And there's 3 different. I hear there's 3 different versions. I've only ever seen there's a gold version of this full-sized one where there's no detail. The whole thing's just painted flat gold. And supposedly there's a miniature full-color version, which I've never seen.
Wow. I love, like you said, it looks just like
a size comparison. It's not quite life size, but it's not small.
We need to use that for the thumbnail of the video, I think.
Me and my buddy Clemente.
It does look just like him. You're 100% right. One of my, I don't want to use the word, people throw away the word grail card too much, but one of my dream Clemente cards is a top super card, and you guys have one at a PSA 9. I wanted to see that.
Yeah. Try and angle it, get rid of the glare. There it goes.
That's awesome. So just to let everybody know how scarce these are, PSA's only graded 145 of these. There's only 10 graded higher in a PSA 10. So,
and yeah, for a card with round corners, normally there's a lot of 10s, but this one is just tough.
Oh yeah,
because there's a football superset from '69 also, and there's a lot more high grades on those for some reason.
Yeah.
They're also super glossy, and this isn't. This is more like a regular cardstock.
Yeah, those are really cool. And then there's a regional card I wanted to see that I don't have yet, the IDL Drugstore card. And you guys have one in the PSA 7.
Yeah, which is a pretty nice grade on that card. Although I hate that it's in the old oversized case. It drives me crazy. They've got the baggie in there to keep it from bouncing around, but it's not centered. And man, I've tried to bang that thing to center, and it won't move.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But the card itself is really gorgeous.
Wow. Yeah, they're completely blank on the back, right?
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, you can see even close-ups of the corners. It is sharp. A little wear to that corner there. Pretty much sharp on the other 3.
Yeah.
And there's the blank back, but super clean blank back, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, so I said it's regional. It was in Pittsburgh, and
yeah. The little drugstore had like 3 or 4 stores in Pittsburgh, and they did the Steelers and the Pirates one year.
Yes. And so the Clemente, there's only 53 graded by PSA right now. So it shows you how scarce they are. It's one of those.
Well, especially when you consider that people grade Clemente at a much higher rate than they grade other stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So out of the 53, there's 53 graded Clementes. There's probably only 20 or so graded Stargills. Stargill's not rarer, just people are less interested in getting them done.
Yep, exactly. So before you show, there's some bazookas coming up in the auction. I brought a couple of my favorites, and I saw this fellow. He had a couple individual ones like I have, but then he also had a couple panels. I'd love to see some of the bazookas.
All right. Do you want to start with individuals or panels?
Dealer's choice. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I had the individuals in my hand, so
okay, let's do it.
Let's get them in your order here. See, here we go. So there's a 60 that did get a number grade. It got a low one, a 1.5, but boy, it presents an awful lot nicer than that. Cuts aren't perfect on it, but they're not terrible. They're good enough to get a number grade, which is the battle. And clean back, no writing or anything. So not real sure. I didn't see any creasing. There is a little scuff under his chin, you can see. But for a 1.5, that's really a nice card.
Yeah, definitely. Bazookas are hard to get good grades.
Yeah. And then here's a 62 that only got authentic because of the cuts. You can see we're real wobbly on this side, and the border gets thicker and thinner. But overall, again, it's a very presentable card. It's clean, it's crease free. It just was cut by a little kid.
Yeah, and that's the thing I hate about grading. They want you to have the dashes, but you're supposed to cut the dashes out when you're a kid. You're not supposed to leave them on. So
yeah,
I don't like that.
And they're also just not super consistent with their rules, as this one will prove. There's no dashes on the left side until you get to the very bottom. So why did that get a 6?
Right.
And it's just they don't apply the rules super consistently.
Yeah.
Now it's got dashes around all of 2 sides, most of the top, and a little bit of the left. Yeah. I guess that was good enough. But again, a 6 on one of these is, a 9, like a 9 on a regular card.
Oh yeah, that's outstanding.
And then the panels. We'll start off with kind of the bad news one. This one really bugs me because I think this is as well cut as the individual card I just showed you that got a number grade. It's cut a little bit short on freehand side.
Yep.
But you can see the dashes pretty much everywhere else. Certainly top and bottom. Maybe Osteen is a little bit short too. But that is a beautiful panel.
Oh yeah, that's the 71, just to let people know. And
71,
yeah, 71 actually has a numbered version. This is the unnumbered version. Right. The numbered version is more scarce, actually.
Yeah. And then we've got the 60.
I love the fact that they put it in the smaller holder.
Yes. Please. Absolutely.
Presents so nice. You got Yogi Berra on there, and you got Ken Boyer. I'm so, whoever wins this, I'm super jealous. I want this so bad, and I know I'm not going to have enough to win it. It is awesome.
But again, talking about the consistency, over Boyer, we have the dashed line. Over Clemente, we don't. So why does that get a number and that gorgeous 71 doesn't?
Oh, I know. It's frustrating.
And even this is a 3.5. It's like, again, this is a super sharp card, great corner. Sometimes it's actually easier to see the corners on the back.
Yeah.
Clean, crease free. So why only the 3.5? If it's because of the cut, well, you shouldn't be grading the cut. That's just authentic or not authentic.
Yeah. Anytime I would talk to anybody about, they ask me for advice on Bazooka cards. My advice is cover up the label, cover up the number, cover up the authentic. Look at the card. If you love the card,
make your judgment.
You throw numbers out the window.
Because really, you're not going to find many that are more appealing than this. You just not.
No.
Or even the 71, which only got the authentic.
Right. Exactly. So next up, I wanted to see the Transogram boxes. So I have the 69 Transogram card, but I love the fact that he had both boxes. This is one of those things that's great to see on camera too, because it's a box. You got all the different sides and everything. So
here's the single.
Yep.
And you can see he's a little bit yellowed. That's just the plastic aging. But he is actually still on his original base. We can turn him upside down and he doesn't fall. This box has never been opened.
Wow.
And there's the top, and some people actually cut that thing out and call that a card.
It's ridiculous, but yeah.
And then here is one of the nicest Transograms I have ever seen. A lot of times these have shelf wear and scuffing.
Wow.
This thing is just, the color on this, unfortunately, camera can't do it justice. The yellow is so bright. The picture is so crisp, and there's just not a scuff on it.
Yeah.
That really is one of the nicest I've ever seen.
It really is. The funny thing about those Transograms is they don't look anything like the players at all.
No.
It's crazy.
I love the jersey number on the back. It's like it's a sticker.
Yeah, I know. That cracks me up. That's great.
It was basically they had a couple of black players, a couple of white players, and they put different stickers on them to make them different people. Yeah. Now the 70, that's the 69. This is the 70 Transogram, which is a triple. And you've got Kuzman, Clemente, and Bob Gibson. You can tell just by looking at them, can't you?
Yeah.
And now this one is kind of more typical for what you see from Transogram. There's some scuffing. There's a little piece of tape. It doesn't affect the cards, but there's some soiling. It's not a bad box by any stretch of the imagination, but like you can see, a little surface wear here on Gibson, and some staining and stuff like Kuzman.
But the one thing I'll tell everybody is you're getting 2 Hall of Famers. Like that's why this box is so appealing to me. The other thing that's interesting, everybody asks me, how do you know the difference between the 69 and 70 Transogram? The only way you know the difference if it's cut is 70 says, 70 says Roberto on it and 69 says Bob.
Oh yeah, I never even realized that. You're right.
Well, so you probably know this, but somebody out there might not know this. A lot of these issues, Topps actually made for these companies. And in 1970 was the first year Topps switched to Roberto. So that's why they switched on the Transogram.
That's right. I learned something today. The way I tell the difference between 69 and 70, one is a 1/16 of an inch wider if it's cut correctly.
Well, that's good to know too.
But I never really stopped to look at it. The fact that you have Bob and Roberto, that's really cool, actually.
Yeah. So cool. Well, I'm happy to at least teach you
jaded hobby guys can learn something. Look at that.
So before you show this one, let me. We could show them side by side even. So you have a KDKA Clemente card, and I want to show you this, and I want to tell you the story. So I bought mine from Kutch.
That's where this one came from also.
Kutch actually bought the whole lot from the Clemente family himself, because the Clemente family had a huge auction, and he bought all these KDKAs, and he reached out to SGC and asked SGC if they would grade these for him. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, Kutch, every time I see these, they have an A. I said, did you ask SGC just to grade them A because you really didn't care about the grade? He said, yes. So I called SGC and I said, will you put a number grade on that for me if I send it to you? And they kept Roberto Clemente collection on there, but this was an A just like yours, and they actually graded it for me.
Well, and that's good to know, because now your customers know that this isn't trimmed or anything else, because this is from Paul Kutch also, originally. Anthony Minicucci bought it from him. So, there's some wear to the top edge. It's probably not going to, right around a 3, maybe a 4 if we're lucky. It's got a, decently clean back.
Oh, yeah.
A little smudging. It's probably right around the same grade as yours. From what I understand, KDKA gave these to Clemente to give out, which is why he had such a big stack of them.
Yeah.
So he wasn't taking, especially good care of them. They're probably in a desk drawer somewhere bouncing around. So that's good to know. Your viewers now know that they could probably flip this to a number grade if they wanted.
Yeah, it's worth looking into if that's something you're interested in. Just to, the reason why I did it was not just that. I said, well, this card is a nice looking card. When somebody sees an A on a card, even if it says Clemente collection, they automatically assume it's min size, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was like, this is the nice card. $15. Why not?
Yeah. What sense would it make for Clemente to be trimming them or something? It's like that makes no sense.
What I wanted to do though is I wanted to pick out. I honestly, what I love about this auction is there's obviously the high price stuff, but there's stuff that you can afford, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to just show a bunch of items that were over like $300, and then guys like me probably can't buy anything. I wanted to show like a variety of things, but I thought it was only fair. I got a lot of people that watch my channel that aren't only into Clemente, and I said, why don't I have you bring out some things that are in this auction that aren't Clemente? Before you show a couple, why don't I show that part of your site real quick?
Sure. And while you do that, I'll talk real quick kind of about what you're talking about. The reason for our company name, the Collector Connection, is because that's our goal. We want to connect collectors to what they want. So we're not just looking for the investor who's got $20,000 to spend. We're not just looking for, the deep pocket guys. Our starting bids are all between $1 and $25, and we have no reserves. There will be a ton of $10 and $15 items by the end of the auction. So we definitely do like dealing with everyone. We're not, too big to deal with a guy who's only got $50.
That's great. I did want to point these out before I get it off camera. You have some great sets that are for sale. The 58 set is one of my favorite top sets of all time. Super colorful. You have a full complete set on here. You guys have a complete set of 61, 59, and 60.
Yeah.
That's just awesome. And
yeah,
then
we do a lot of sets, and our rule with sets is we want sets that are consistent in grade. If a set's all over the map, we'll tend to break it up because the VG guys don't want to pay for the near mint, and the near mint guys don't even want the VG. So it makes no sense to sell as a set. So when you see a set with us, it's usually pretty consistent.
Yeah. Did I just pop that on the screen, or did I forget?
It did not come up.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I thought I was showing it on the screen, and I didn't. Here's what I was showing on the screen before. So there's two big mantle cards at the front here, and then there's that 58 set I called out, and then there's the 61, 59, and 60 set I called out. And then, here's some other, obviously I didn't filter Clemente out, so you'll see Clemente items throughout here. But like I said, there's a lot of different, there's a Bowman low grade set, only missing the, I think it's only missing the mantle, correct?
Man, yep.
Yeah. And that's not you can get that card. It's attainable. So
yeah, it's actually the most reasonable early 50s mantle.
It is. It really is. So what did I ask you to show first? Did I ask you to show some of the star decals?
Yeah, I have those too, but this was the one you just asked for recently.
Oh yeah.
Got the 52 Jackie authentic altered. Now this was consigned to us in a KSA case. It was a KSA 3. And that's why I tell people, you be careful with KSA. If you look here in the bat, it's hard to tell on camera, but you see it's kind of splotchy. That was recolored. So there is recoloring in the red background of the card, which is the reason for the authentic. The authentic is absolutely correct. KSA was out of their mind calling it a 3. Now, that being said, it's a really presentable card otherwise. Centering's not atrocious.
Yeah.
Corners are decent. There is one tiny little wrinkle coming towards his ear over here, which you'll never see on camera. Oh, there I go. I caught it. Look.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
But it presents really nicely. So it's a great kind of, as much as any 52 Jackie is going to be a bargain, it's a nice kind of bargain 52 Jackie.
What did the back look like? I don't think I saw it.
Oh, no, back is nice and clean.
Nice.
No, actually, a little stain here.
So my friend Greg thinks that the 52 Jackie is actually going to be worth as much as the mantle in 50 years. That was his prediction. He thinks that that's an undervalued card in the hobby right now. So I think that's interesting.
And it is like the look of it is phenomenally iconic. It is probably the nicest looking of the early Jackies. I mean, It's such a great picture of him. And all the other Jackies are small or weird, like 48 leaf.
So one of the things that I saw that really stuck out was the star decals of the Red Sox and the Indians. And I'm super into the oddball stuff, and I've never seen these before. So I was like, I need you to show these.
It's not just that we have the decals. This is the original retail display that they would have been on in the store.
Wow.
And they were countertop displays. And this triangular piece here is the stand that would fold out like a picture frame so you could set it up. It's never been bent. So this was literally a completely unused store display.
That is awesome.
I'm trying to give you the whole picture of you can see where the bend would be on this right here, and it's never been bent. So that's the stand, that diagonal piece there. And it's got some creasing and some issues. We also are suspicious because the Boston one has one Detroit sticker, and then the Cleveland one has one Giants sticker. So we think when they were found both missing a sticker, and the top sticker the center sticker has no top clip on it. So we're wondering if they got separated somewhere along the line. You see all these have a top clip on them here, right there. So they don't fall out, but the center one doesn't have that.
Oh.
So each one has one replacement card on it. Where's the Giants on this? Cleveland. New York Giant. The bottom is Bobby Thompson in the lower right.
Huh.
And they were, as far as we can tell, we found stories of one other one that was a New York Yankees one. So, and it would make sense if they were issued regionally that they're all by team. So we think that these each had one replaced from the original. But it's nice. They're loaded with Hall of Famers. Let's see. We've got Cleveland. There's Bob Lemon, Bob Feller. I believe there's another, the small feller on top. And Feller Doby, actually, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's full of stars. That's for sure.
The Red Sox one has both of the Ted Williams, the little one and the big one. And the little Ted Williams actually has two Ted Williams. He doesn't share. And then there's the big Ted Williams. So, and then actually, I think our interloper, the Tigers, I think has George Kell, so another Hall of Famer there. Oh, and Hal Newhouser, so two Hall of Famers, even with the one that doesn't belong. And there's the Professor, Dom DiMaggio.
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a couple friends that are huge Red Sox fans, so hopefully they check that out.
Yeah, it's funny because we do get the decals themselves fairly often, but obviously we'd never seen anything like this before.
Well, so I have a bunch of friends who want to get a DiMaggio card, and I know it's a weird request, but I wanted you to bring out the Burke Ross DiMaggio card because I think some of my friends would be interested in seeing it.
Do you have me?
Yeah, I have you.
Okay. So it's his last regular issue American card. He did have a Menko during his playing days. He had a Menko card from 1951 also. But this is 52, so people argue, was it really playing days? But yeah, he played in 51, so a 52 card makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can see the creases, and then there's a little really light pencil X on the bottom underneath the text you can see there. So it's, it's been well loved, but it's not, as long as you're not super condition conscious, it's not like somebody wadded it up, cut it apart, taped it back together. It's just a well-loved card.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's my type of card right there.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Hey, it's a playing days. It's a playing days card because the kid played with it. So
yeah, there you
go. So the other thing I noticed you did. I have a couple friends who are very much into autos, and I saw you had some cool autos on the site. I wanted you to bring out the 1999 Hall of Fame ball. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, what I liked about it was that, and we have two different versions. I think in this auction, we only have the Brett sweet spot. We also have one with the Robin Yount sweet spot. And then you've got on the one panel, Orlando Cepeda. And then on the West panel, Nolan Ryan. But I love the fact that they left it to Nolan to put what the ball actually was.
Yeah.
Nolan put the Hall of Fame class of 99. Everybody else just signed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's cool. That was a heck of a class right there.
Yeah, yeah, and a nice, little spots of yellowing. This was definitely a collector. This wasn't somebody put it away trying to keep it pristine white.
Yeah,
but nice, and a JSA cert, so it's good to go.
Yep,
and I believe it's a full letter actually. So,
awesome.
Get Robin over here. Spin him. There we go.
Yeah, that's a great ball.
I'm only touching the seams, so don't yell at me for ruining your ball.
All right. Well, I think we thoroughly went through some stuff that I was interested in. I think obviously you probably have over 1,000 items on there. Anybody can go on your website, Collector Connection, if they want to check it out. The one thing I want to say, Scott, is I met you at the National. You're super nice guy. When I called the number to see if you were interested in doing this, you were the one that answered the phone, like you said. Which is very appreciative. And, when I was going through the site, I noticed that your descriptions of items, you really do call out flaws. And I do appreciate that as a collector. You never want to get an item and they didn't tell you about the wrinkle or they didn't tell you about the pencil mark on the card. And I can just tell from you showing items today to me that you're the same way. You want to tell everybody exactly what the item is.
You don't want to leave a buyer with that uncomfortable feeling of, do I go back to him and complain? Because, there's a calculus there of, is it even worth it? But if it's not worth it, you're never going to buy from me again.
Yeah.
If you get a card and you're mad and you don't do anything about it, you're not going to come back.
Exactly.
Now, if you do something about it and I make it right, maybe you'll come back, maybe you won't. But isn't it easier to get it right in the first place?
100%. I agree with you. Yeah, you're right. Your reputation is everything. So I think I think it's cool. A lot of my friends that I talked to never heard of the Collector Connection, so I think it's really cool that you were able to do this, and they have another resource to look for cards. As I always do, I do it with Howard. Do you have anything else that maybe we didn't cover? Do you have a plug you want to say before we head out?
Yeah, well, just, if anybody watching is in the spot where they're looking to move on from part of their collection or their whole collection, we travel the country picking up consignments. We do our best on rates. We do sell smaller than a lot of the big auction companies. So on smaller value lots, we do have to charge a bigger commission than maybe the big guys will, but they're also not going to take that stuff. So it is kind of a trade-off. But give me a call. Consigners always 100% deal with me directly. They'll never get a customer service person or an employee. Consigners always get me direct.
Awesome. Well, Scott, I really appreciate you coming on today. And I'm hoping to win a couple of the Clemente items. If I do, I'll definitely show them on my channel. But you take it easy, and I feel like we're going to talk again in the future.
Well, sounds great, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.